The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible in golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@RamsUpPodcast. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined often by my football guru, Ian, along with a bunch of other friends of the show on occasion. Let's get to it.
Oh, baby Rams Nation, draft season is here, and the draft is not too far away. So, like, subscribe, share this video and podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans. We very much appreciate it. I mean, that's Mark. Mark, how you doing today, dude?
Pretty good, pretty good. Relaxing here on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I love talking about this stuff before the draft.
Yes, and as the free agency frenzy is now over, as we now morph into this next and very important, episode of every offseason, the draft is ultra important. And where are we at right now with the quarterback situation with both Matthew Stafford on a de facto 1-year deal? We have Jimmy Garoppolo, an older quarterback, on a 1-year deal. And we have Stetson Bennett, who, as the human, for the human, we hope everything works out for him with his troubles off the field and whatever was going on with that. And obviously he's back playing football, good on him. But we don't think that he is the answer. So with all these question marks for not this season, as again, Stafford, Garoppolo, feel pretty good about that 1 and 2 at quarterback. What about next season and beyond? As Rams Nation, we have to start thinking about those things, as Matthew Stafford has maybe a couple more years max. So with that in mind, who are the quarterbacks that we believe are worth a first rounder, a second rounder, or a third rounder? We'll talk about those guys right now and who the Rams should also view worthy of those top, high-end, high-quality picks, quote unquote. So how we have this here, Rams Nation, we're not necessarily going to be ranking it here in terms of, oh, this guy's number 1, this guy's number 2, and maybe you might get a guess based on how we do this of, who we lean towards in that way or another. But we have these quarterbacks lumped in based on, are they round 1 worthy, round 2 or 3, and et cetera, and et cetera. So 2025 rookie draft class QBs worthy of rounds 1, 2, or 3. Let's get started. Number 1, in my eyes, our eyes here, of a round 1 worthy quarterback is, I guess, not a shock, quarterback Cam Ward from the University of Miami. Wow from what I saw on tape. But Mark, give us some fun facts, all the goodies on him.
Okay, University of Miami. He's 6'2", 219 pounds, and at 2024 first team All Associated Press All-American, ACC Player of the Year, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, finalist for the Heisman Trophy, and he threw for 4,300 yards last year. And the one thing I'm certainly didn't watch a lot of Miami games, but every time I did, it seemed like he was pulling a rabbit out of his hat, saving his team at the end of games. So he's got a little bit of magic in him too. Has some data points as far as late game heroics go too. So yeah, it's pretty clear why he'd be. We'd expect him to be the top ranked quarterback, and he is.
Yes, and Rams Nation, all these guys who we're going to talk about here today, these opinions are obviously what we see with the stats, obviously what we see with the accolades. Those are, important. Like, hey, how did you hold up and did you produce? But a lot of what I'm going to say about all these quarterbacks is just strictly watching the film. I'm a film junkie. Shout out to every one of you who have tuned into the orchestrated Rams segments, the film breakdowns during the playing season, where I break down Rams versus the opponents and what the hell happened, the top, impactful plays. So I did a super in-depth on all these quarterbacks we believe rounds 1, 2, or 3. And starting with Cam Ward, the accuracy is excellent. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. There's times where, yes, the decision-making can be questionable, not because he can't make the throw, but because he's like, oh, I'm really going to try to squeeze it in. It's like, okay, look, you have a superpower with an arm, but maybe don't throw that, right? It's almost similar to when Matthew Stafford and Dan Orlovsky had that little famous conversation that Orlovsky shared way back when on ESPN of like, hey, Dan, there's just some throws you can't make, and I can. And I feel like Cam Ward has a little bit of that, knowing that he's got a special arm. And he's like, hey, I'm going to try to rifle it in. And I think that will tailor back once he gets in the pros as everyone's faster, stronger, all that stuff, smarter. But decision-making overall, I think, was good. Arm talent, again, excellent. I mean, it's just excellent. Flick of the wrist, different arm platforms, right? We think of Matthew Stafford's. He has the very, it's such a beautiful throwing motion. The very clean, using the body, using the hips, everything flows so nice. Aaron Rodgers has a very beautiful throwing motion like that. And there are guys who throw the football well. But we think of that with Stafford and others. But what makes Stafford fantastic and other quarterbacks you can think of is the different arm slots, right? It doesn't have to be the step in with the whole body and get the rotation going for a beautiful pass. You could still throw beauties, sidearm, any arm angle to get it off. I mean, Cam Ward has that in his quote unquote bag there. It's excellent. Mobility is good. He can outrun D linemen, but if you want him to be like, hey, I need you to outrun, safeties and corners, absolutely not. But he can outrun D linemen, outrun some linebackers, and that's very, very valuable. His playmaking is excellent overall, right? When things go to hell, what Mark alluded to earlier, the dude can scramble around, buy time, and then throw laser beams at any part of the field. It's phenomenal. But like I said earlier, he will take risks, and sometimes you're like, yo, do not throw that. But I think that'll be something he will learn at the next level. Has multiple throwing release points, like I had pointed out earlier. And then, Jesus, man. Pocket presence is so dang good. So dang good. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. A lot of these quarterbacks who are from this spread air raid, which is a very common offense now, it's hard to get true, pro style work in that. But for him being in a, slash air raid system, I mean, he does go through reads and he does read defenses, and there is progressions in that offense. So it's not just a pure air raid with Cam Ward. And look, he's the best quarterback in this draft. I'll just declare that. He is round 1 worthy. So if there is an alternate timeline that we could enter in where he somehow slips, or let's just say the Rams don't give up an insane future to trade up and get him. Let's just say something crazy happens. I feel like it would be a slam dunk. This would be, no doubt about it, someone who could learn under Stafford with all the same tools that could be built up, and it would just be a Matthew Stafford-esque clone light. I know it's a lot of words, but I think it would work out so dang well. And I'm sure Cam Ward deep down would hope he could end up being a Rams quarterback, which is, very impossible, it feels like, at this moment. But he's definitely round 1 worthy, Mark. I mean, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and he's probably going to go to the Titans with the number 1 overall pick, I think. So he'll end up in the AFC, so that's a good thing. And the draft reports I'm reading kind of line up with what you're saying. He's got the live arm, can rip it into tight windows from 25 yards away, but Scouts think he needs to dial it back a little bit, be a little bit more efficient, less risk taking.
Yeah.
And so he can be coached up in that area.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and it's when you're a quarterback who is like relied on to carry the whole program for any success, which he was relied upon to do those things week in and week out. I mean, you're taking chances because the Miami's defense sucked. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know what the advanced analytics say about them, of EPA and all those DVOA and all that stuff. I don't know those things. Truthfully, sometimes those are hard to find. But watching film, Miami's defense sucked, and it was like Cam Ward save us every week. And more times than not, he came through and was fantastic with obviously all the arm talent and everything I talked about in the last handful of minutes. So he's round one worthy. In an alternate universe, maybe the Rams would get him, but we're probably not going to live in that timeline, Rams Nation. But we can all dream. We can all dream. But the next quarterback that is round one worthy in my eyes here, Rams Nation, is quarterback Shedeur Sanders, University of Colorado. Mark, what are some good fun facts about him?
Okay, he's 6'2", 212 pounds. We all know who his dad is, and that could be a good or a bad thing, in my opinion. Let's see, his plays with confidence and composure from the pocket and keeps his eyes downfield. Let's see, 2024 second team Associated Press All-American, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. And he, 74% completion rate, which was a school record, and 353 completions, a school record as well. 37 TD passes in 2024 with just 10 interceptions. So that's pretty impressive.
Yep. Son of one of the greatest athletes probably ever on planet Earth. Let's just be honest. Deion Sanders, his time as a shutdown corner, his baseball days, his every now and then receiver moments with the Cowboys, and obviously punt returning, kick returning. The son, Shedeur Sanders, I really, really like. I think some people think that he's overrated by a ton, and I think the hype with him, bro, I'm not trying to go into that side of it, but just real quick, it's because he's Deion's son. So I'm looking at it from, what does the film say, Rams Nation? His accuracy is excellent. I think there's no doubt about that. His decision-making is excellent. So not only when he throws the ball is it never in harm's way, it feels like, but the times he's making a decision, it's just excellent. There's the ball is exactly where you want it to be, need it to be, tons and tons of times in a row. Is it perfect every throw? Of course not. But overall, from what I saw, I mean, decision-making, again, excellent. Accuracy is excellent when he is making good decisions, which seems like a ton. His mobility, now this is the thing where a lot of people will debate about it. I think his mobility is average. And when I say average, what does that mean, Rams Nation? I'm comparing it to what it will be like at the NFL level. Now, could he run away from people and get, around D linemen, some linebackers in college? Yeah, he did that sometimes. But more times than not, he would get, hunt down. So you can even argue that it might be below average. But I think overall, I've seen him turn on the Jets, which I know he probably would more often than not in the NFL. I think it's average. He can escape. He can make plays in the backfield. And, he's not this dual threat running quarterback. He is slower than Cam Ward. He doesn't have as much slippery mobility in the pocket like Cam Ward, but he still can do some stuff. His playmaking, I'd say, is average to above average, depending on what's going on. And I think that with the pocket presence, being average to below average, I think all these things with the mobility, the playmaking, the pocket presence, all that kind of filters in, or not kind of, it does. Colorado's offensive line, I didn't realize it, Mark, Rams Nation. Their offensive line was horrible. Horrible. And I think if I had to take an educated guess as to why sometimes I'm like, what was up with that? I didn't like the way you were maneuvering there. I think he's just like, if I don't do something, get rid of it, try to extend a play, I'm going to get whacked, and we're just taking a negative play anyway. So I think what will help him at the next level is obviously playing behind the line where he's not getting smoked a majority of the time, or more times than not. And I think breaking that bad habit of his bad pocket presence of footwork and just feeling the rush and saying, uh-oh. I mean, it scarred him. Let's just call it what it is. It scarred his Colorado playing potential, I feel, because the O-line was so crap. And on top of that, too, he was in an air raid system, Rams Nation, where everything's chucking it, throwing it, big throws there, here. So it's all passing. It's all passing. So not only are you saying, hey, yes, you were one of our best players, carry us, which he did, obviously with Travis Hunter doing crazy things too. Their defense, another team that University of Colorado sucked bad. So it was like, Shedeur Travis, save us, please. And they tried their best most weeks out of the season. It's hard to really say what he really could have been if the O-line wasn't so freaking bad. Even if they were just average guys, I feel like he could have been even better than what I saw on tape with everything, with the playmaking, with the pocket presence, the mobility, all that. I feel like all those things could have been elevated if he wasn't getting whacked so much. And there are times that he tried to extend plays and make too much of it, right? Saying, I got to do something. It's up to me. It's up to me to keep us alive. And he did run himself into sacks. He should have thrown the ball away multiple times. But I think, again, when you're in this, I got to be the guy to do it because our defense isn't doing it. Our O-line says, I got to just make a play. I think you get into these bad habits. But when everything is on, again, accuracy is excellent. Decision-making is excellent. I think his arm talent is good. Maybe not great, maybe not bad. And you can argue that it is average, but there's times where I've seen him zip it and throw it in those intermediate routes. I'm like, oh, that looked nice. And there's a couple times with a wow throw on a deep ball. I'm like, oh, wow. So I say all this to say he is a first-round worthy quarterback in my eyes. And I think this is where it gets interesting too, Mark Rams Nation. What would the Rams do if he was there at pick 26? I think they would be very, very tempted to pull that trigger. They wouldn't have to give up future draft capital for an Arch Manning next year, which, let's be honest, if this team gets in the playoffs again, the Rams, I mean, there is no shot a team will give up the opportunity to pick up or draft Arch Manning. Let's just be real about that. So those dreams, you can kiss that goodbye if you want to have a nice season for the Rams this year, right? So with that in mind, could the Rams be like, hey, we have a first-round worthy quarterback, and we don't have to trade Jack Tiddly squat. He can sit and learn, get out of those bad habits that I just explained to you, get him to learn this scheme. I feel like he can make all the intermediate throws, the comebacks, the accuracy. Sean will love the decision-making and all that. I think the Rams would be very, very tempted for a first-round worthy quarterback there at pick 26 of Shedeur Sanders there, as mock drafts are starting to have him slip and fall in that range, and even some having us take a mark.
Yeah, and we talked about this previous episodes. The value of that 26th pick is some of these quarterbacks like Sanders, are they worthy? Are the Giants going to use a third-round pick on him when they can pass on him, get an impact player at another position? And if that happens, if he starts to slide, two things can happen. Like you say, the Rams could potentially draft him, or, a team like the Giants is going to trade back up into the first round to draft him. And that could benefit the Rams as well if they don't see Sanders as their guy. And one note on you talked about his ability with his legs. And yeah, he probably is average in that regard, but he is the type of guy that can get into the end zone, 5 yards out. He's a threat to run it in. He had 4 rushing TDs last year. So he is more so than a guy like Stafford, right? Who's very rarely going to scoot into the end zone, tuck it away and score. But Sanders does have that ability, I think.
Yes, and that's valuable. And I know General Manager Les Snead has said, like, publicly to our own Rams media, JB Long and others, about how, like, the cheat code of having a mobile athletic quarterback is so freaking valuable. And he's not wrong about that, Rams Nation. I mean, think about all the times we couldn't tackle a mobile quarterback this last season to save our freaking lives a lot of games, right? It's the cheat code. And, Stafford beats you in a gazillion other ways, but that mobility is not one of them. So it is a cheat code. You might have everything covered good. You might have everyone locked up. Your pass rush might have gone there, but all it takes is a couple whoop, whoop, whoop by the quarterback, and boom, positive 5+ yards, or even a big, 20+ yarder, which, we gotten screwed on a ton. So Shedeur could do that. He could definitely give you some cheat code yardage for sure. It may not be, oh my God, Lamar, but it's still pretty dang good.
And I think the Rams would be
what we have now, I should say.
Yeah, and I think he would be a good fit. Sanders, you think would be happy to go to a team like the Rams in that,
Of
you know,
course.
there's some teams that I'd be worried a little bit about Dion's interference if things started to go sideways a little bit. You know, and good coaches can ignore that, but I don't think Deion Sanders is going to question Sean McVay in any way or any form, regardless of how it goes. So yeah, he'd be
Yeah.
a perfect place for him.
Yeah.
Perfect place for any young quarterback, right?
Yes. And guys, you don't think Shador and his family and his father wouldn't want him to be drafted later to go to a better team? Come on now. Now, yes, the money and the opportunity to play is right away with being a higher pick. I mean, of course, as a quarterback. But long term, you don't think if you said, walk through door number A, go to the Giants. Walk through, door number B, the Browns, or A through whatever, X, Y, and then door number Z was be the Rams' future quarterback and learn behind Matthew Stafford. He'd be like, all right, I'll choose that door number Z with the Rams. I mean, this any of these quarterbacks that we're going to talk about, even Cam Ward, if you say, hey, get drafted by the Rams and sit for a year, and then, when Stafford's done a couple, you'll be so prepared. You'll be ready to go. And it's of course, Dion would not be a problem with us. He wouldn't say a damn word
Right,
negatively. Let's
exactly.
be honest. So we'll see what happens, Rams Nation, when we get to that. But the Shador Sanders is round one worthy in my eyes based off the film. Now, as we move to the next group of guys who I believe are round 2 or 3 worthy, and they can, swing this way or that way depending on how you look at them. So that next guy for me, and really no particular order if you kind of want to, depending on what your flavor is and what you like, but I'm going to go with Jackson Dart here. We'll talk about him next. As Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, the former USC quarterback, so he's had some time out here in Los Angeles. Mark, what's some fun facts and stats about Jackson Dart?
Well, these first 4 guys we're talking about are all 6'2", very similar in size. So Jackson Dart, 6'2", 225. So he's the beefiest of these guys, these first 4 that we're talking about. And he's got a little bit of swag, but aside from that, first team all SEC, set a school record, 10,617 yards passing. That's with Ole Miss,
Yeah.
12,000 yards of total offense, and led the FBS with 10.8 yards per attempt, 4,700 yards of total offense. So he's, he is you think of him as a quarterback first and a runner second. He can really run though and hurt you in more than one way. Just kind of a complete quarterback, I think.
Yes. And with Jackson Dart here, why have him as a second or third round worthy and not a first rounder? Just based on what I see off film, everyone. But I can totally see, because quarterbacks are so valuable and so overinflated too. Let's be honest about that. That I can totally see Jackson Dart going in the first round. And could even the Rams brass convince themselves of taking him at pick 26? That's not totally impossible if they really like the things I'm going to start naming off for you right now, Rams Nation. So the accuracy overall as a whole picture with all these guys, I think is average to above average, depending on how you feel about him. But I think objectively you can say it's just concrete average. Why? Because his deep ball accuracy is just too inconsistent. There's times where it's like, oh, wow, that looked great. There's times you're like, oh, man, you got to hit that guy on a deep pass. We're talking 25 and beyond at least, right? And I think that's something that could be worked on. But, there was too many times of that where I saw I was like, did not like that. But I will say, though, and I know this is probably something that the Ram staff really like. I mean, he is absolutely fantastic throwing that intermediate area. The deep comeback, the deep in, the deep out, which are a lot of route combinations that we like to do, right, Rams Nation? Those 10 to 15, even to 20-yard plus. All right, you got to throw a laser in there. It's got to be accurate. You're throwing it in, in a crowded area. Got to make those throws. And he's definitely very, very good at that. The short, I mean, I really like his accuracy from those spots, and he hardly ever misses there. And decision-making, I think, is pretty dang quick overall. He can go through multiple reads. It's not perfect. It's about average, right? I mean, he is coming from another, again, air raid system. And I think with that too, and this is important to note, is that there were a lot of schemed open wide receivers sometimes where I was like, well, that guy's wide open. And obviously Dart would hit him. So, you have to balance that with obviously him making tough throws and making good decisions, and how does that all factor in? So there's no doubt about it that, yes, the air raid system does sometimes promote open wide receiver pass catchers. And definitely with his offensive coordinator and coaching staff, they got some receivers pretty dang open, and he hit them. But the times where he did have to make tough throws in that intermediate to short area, he was fantastic. And times where, he had to read defenses when the play called for it, he was able to do that. And I enjoyed seeing that. Again, wasn't the play call every single time, as a lot of this air raid system could be like, read it, it's there, throw it in there, rifle it in, right? And he did those things as well. His mobility overall is average, but he has good takeoff runaway speed, which I really liked, right? In mobility, it'd be like, hey, how do you maneuver in the pocket if things get kind of, tough and crowded? Can you, scoot around and do all that with the pocket presence? Kind of, I'd say, is average. You can argue it's below average, some of the pocket presence stuff. But again, when he takes off, you're like, oh, wow, he's a lot faster than I thought he was. And he's definitely faster than Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that's a question, truthfully. Debatable with Cam Ward, right? I mean, depending on, what the down and distance is. I mean, but he's still got some speed. So if he's like, all right, tuck in and run and get some, that cheat code yardage Les Snead has been, asking for or proclaiming, he can definitely do that as well. But again, Rams Nation, you could say, Ian, that sounds like a first round pick quarterback. But again, the deep ball stuff, it just bothers me. He misses it too much. It's too inconsistent. And I think the arm talent, that's one last thing I have written down here. I think it's average for NFL standards. I don't see any sometimes like, wow, that's so much power on it. But there is a couple times where you'll see some wow stuff on those intermediate, deeper-ish parts of the field, right? That 15 to 20 in that ballpark. But, those are things. Could he get stronger? Sure. Can he get his throwing motion to be more consistent? Sure. Could he learn more arm angles if things get a little wacky? Sure. But I think all those things lead to me saying, hey, he's a second or third round pick, depending on how much you like or dislike these things that I named off to you. But he could easily be your first rounder because quarterbacks get inflated, Mark.
Yeah, and the draft reports on him kind of echo what you said. His deep throws lack the energy, just not getting there like they should. But one good thing about him, the reviews I've read, is that he's really good at hanging in the pocket and taking hits and delivering the ball despite pressure. And that's a really important thing at the NFL level. We see Matthew Stafford do that over and over again, not bailing out, making the throws when pressure's coming. So that's good.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from McDonald's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a hamburger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Lowe's knows member-only doorbuster deals make SpringFest savings even better. Right now, rewards members can get 3 19.3-ounce Bonnie Plants vegetables and herbs for just $10. Plus, save $50 on a Charbroil Performance Series 4-burner grill, now $149. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/7, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location, subject to change. While supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms.
I think I just won my taxes.
Yeah?
I just switched to H&R Block in about 1 minute. All I had to do was drag and drop last year's return into H&R Block, and bam, my information is automatically there.
So I don't have to go digging around for all my old papers to switch?
Nope.
Sounds like we just leveled up our tax game.
Switching to H&R Block is easy. Just drag and drop your last return. It's better with Block.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing. It's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes on go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
It is good. Again, there's a lot of things I like about Jackson. I would feel more comfortable, again, taking him in the second or third. But you never know. All it takes is a team to fall in love with him, and all it takes is Sean McVay to really love him and say, you know what? We can grow him into all these things. And it's possible. All these guys, it's possible. But, it's all a giant gamble, and it's all a bunch of lottery tickets we're all taking home, and we're hoping that when we scratch them, we hit and get some cash. And that's how it is with these quarterbacks, especially in these second or third and beyond rounds. So Jackson Dart, hey, second or third round, I'm in on him if we pick him there. All right, so the next quarterback here, in no particular order, if you have them in one way or another, I have quarterback Kyle McCord from the University of Syracuse, as he was formerly from Ohio State, as he got ran out of town, quote unquote, when some transfers came in, and he got blamed for a lot of their failures for not getting to the national title game and winning it, as he had some bad moments. Let's just be honest about it. But in Syracuse, what a turnaround. Mark, what are some fun stats about him?
So he is not 6'2". He is 6'3", 218. All these guys, and pretty much you're very similar as far as the measurables go. And he was second team All-ACC in 2024. And Syracuse threw the ball all over the place. And man, this guy threw for 4,779 yards, 391 completions. And they chucked the ball around, and McCord was extremely prolific in that department. This team, their air attack was pretty impressive.
Yes, it was with Kyle McCord. And just like if I didn't say this with Jackson Dart, him, Jackson, Cam Ward, Shedeur, all the guys we've talked about this far, I mean, they're all like, hey, you need to save the day because our defenses suck. I mean, all these guys thus far. And Kyle McCord was definitely in that category. A second or third round worthy quarterback in my eyes, based on, God, that arm talent is fantastic. I mean, sincerely, I think his arm is stronger and has more explosive nature than Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders. And that'll pop up on tape where you're like, wow, that was nice right there. But the accuracy is average and it's inconsistent. Sometimes you're like, dang, you threw a laser beam on that deep out route. Very, holy crap, that was nice. Other times you're like, why did that sail? Why did it hit the ground? And it's all mechanic stuff, right? He didn't really step into the throw. It's just like, hey, I got a great arm. Let me just zing. And it's like, hey, you got to train those skills. No, they're not there yet. So average accuracy overall, but inconsistent with not only the deep, just everything. Sometimes it's just there's a lot of wow, and they're like, oh, why didn't you hit that? That should have been there. You could have hit that. Decision making overall, same thing. Average, but inconsistent. Sometimes you're like, oh, great decision there. I liked how you saw that, read that defense, boom, lasered it in, fantastic. Other times you're like, hey, arm talent, I know you feel like you can throw that son of a gun in there, but that was not a good decision. Do not do that. Same thing with Kyle McCord, and it's very much a theme with any of these guys who's got a live arm and who can, rocket passes in anywhere. And the mobility, I think, is below average. He's more of a true pro-style S, like, hey, I'm going to be a pocket guy. We're here to just chuck it and launch it. I'm not going to be like, hey, let me run around and do all this and buy time and scramble. Not that he can't do it and didn't do it, but that's not his game at all, Kyle McCord. He's definitely a pocket passing guy in the next level in my eyes, and that's the way he played at the University of Syracuse. His playmaking is average. Sometimes you're like, all right, he's just not athletic enough to do something crazy, but there's times where he had a little bit of time and he threw a laser down the field, or he threw this, holy crap, look at that bomb go, and you're like, wow, That was fantastic. So overall, I'd say about average there. Pocket presence, also about average, right? Those things could always be worked on with footwork, feeling rush, and a lot of these quarterbacks, pretty much all college quarterbacks, no one's a complete, you know, excellent thumbs up there in that remark. But, times you're like, hey, took a sack there, didn't need to do that. But it kind of morphs into all his other playing styles. And then he did come from this kind of hybrid pro style system with a lot of spread orientation. It was very mixed. So he did go through reads. There were times I was like, oh, there you go. 1, 2, 3, hit it. Very nice. Oh, 1, 2, 3, nothing there. 4, throw it away. Or, find something and make a quick play or a check down after that. I like that for sure. But he definitely has the potential to be like, wow, we really cultivated that arm and everything else, where he's like, oh, what a damn good quarterback he turned out to be. Or those things never get fixed, and then he ends up being, a quarterback. You're like, great arm, but more like a Will Levis, where we could just never get him to just fully be all in with good decision-making, accuracy, and all that. But he had a live arm. So second or third round worthy just based off that arm talent, because, guys, I mean, that arm is woo! And again, if somebody could coach him up, get him to make better decisions and learn defenses and be able to read them as quickly as possible, get him his throwing motion, everything to be more consistently accurate so he can deliver the football and have complete control of it at all times or most times. I think he could definitely be a starting level quarterback if those things happen. So if the Rams took him in the second or third round, let him sit behind Stafford, I think that would be something that I would be very on board with. But all those things, Rams Nation, I can easily see him not being a second or third rounder because teams hate the inconsistencies with his accuracy, hate the inconsistencies with his decision making, hate the lack of mobility and playmaking with his legs. I can see those things, but arm talent, baby, you can't coach that up.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he, the reading I have on him is that he's doesn't have great pocket presence, and that leads to him getting hit more than you would like, but he also hangs in there when he's getting hit. So, and that arm talent is unquestionable. And, I got me thinking about this guy is, he's certainly not the, equivalent to or at the level of Matthew Stafford, but a lot of similarities, right? To Matthew Stafford in a lot of ways. So is he a guy the Rams could see moving into that, it be the perfect backup perhaps, or heir apparent. But then, Les Snead talking about how he wants someone with a cheat code, and that is not Kyle McCord, right?
Yeah, correct.
It. So, kind of you got to decide which direction you want to go. Matthew Stafford-ish quarterback like Kyle McCord, or are you ready to move on to a different type of quarterback? But he's going to succeed in the NFL somewhere. I think maybe only as a backup, but if he's given time and in the right place, who knows? He could be a very good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and he's got the tools. The tools, you hear it all the time, Rams agents. Does he have the tools? He's got that arm, and that will carry him far if the other things could get cleaned up, which, hey, if the Rams took a chance on him with that second or third round pick, which, again, I could easily see it being fourth, fifth, and beyond, I wouldn't be mad at it. And I think he could be worthy based off that arm. But who's the next quarterback, Rams Nation, who I believe is second or third round worthy? Well, this is somebody who I've really enjoyed just watching film as a football fan over the past, couple of weeks of watching these quarterbacks. But that would be University of Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Gosh, I have so much to say about him, but Mark, give us some fun stats and info on him.
Sorry, there he is 6'2", 217, so right in that wheelhouse of the other guys. And one thing that jumped out at me statistically, and I was unaware of this, don't watch a lot of Alabama football to be quite honest, but he led the team with 726 yards rushing last year. So this guy has some wheels.
Yeah.
And he let's see, he had started 13 games, 16 TDs, 11 interceptions. He is a team captain, so you got to keep that in mind. The Rams love those team captains. And just the rushing ability really stood out to me. 20 rushing TDs. So set a single season school record for rushing TDs by a quarterback for Alabama. So, and that's, with their legacy there, that's no small feat. So he's, he's a dual threat for sure.
Jalen Milroe, what a roller coaster of watching film I was having with this guy, Mark Ramsdation. So his accuracy is below average. Let's just call it what it is. It is so wildly inconsistent that it's hair pulling. You're like, oh man, what was he thinking there? Damn, he should have had that. The decision making overall, though, I think is pretty solid. Or I'd say it's average at the minimum. It's not that he's not reading the defenses, everyone, or he's not able to, or he's not seeing the field, or it's like, man, he just doesn't. He's just a super athlete playing quarterback. He's making the decisions there just as good as some of the other guys, in my opinion, right? And I could even argue that his decision making is better than Kyle McCord's or Jackson Dart's, depending on how you look at it in the context of the play and all that. Arm talent is excellent. Excellent, just like Cam Ward's. It is eye-popping wow when you see some of his throws. But the problem is that they're not always accurate. And I think that has a lot to do with his throwing mechanics, right? Getting the proper body flow, like we talked about earlier, right? Think about how Matthew Stafford throws a football, how Aaron Rodgers in his prime, or even now he still throws a football, and just how pretty it looks and how smooth and just how effortless it can look. And you can say, oh, Ian, Matthew Stafford and Rodgers, some of the most talented arm throwers. Well, you know what makes it even better for them? When they have a good throwing motion, right? And think about all the other guys who have nice throwing motions, how much just easier it is. Think about when Joe Burrow came into the league and he talked about how he wanted to get that Stafford Rodgers-esque throwing motion, how much he improved. He said, wow, what a difference that made for me. And other quarterbacks have talked about it too, about altering that. So I think if Jalen Milroe can do that, I mean, there's some holy crap with him throwing the football. Wow moments. The mobility, excellent. It's just eye-popping. Oh my God, look at him escape tackles, escape sacks, run around. The playmaking is excellent as well. With the legs, even the times where he was accurate and he threw some crazy passes down the field, I was like, wow, what a nice back shoulder that was. It's excellent. Absolutely excellent. His pocket presence, I think, is average, right? He does feel the rush. He can bail out. There's times where I saw him step up in the pocket and do all that. And the spread system that he was doing, obviously a lot of downfield stuff, a lot of quarterback design runs, and those are fantastic as well. But I mean, Mark, if he can clean up this accuracy, which again is below average, it's just wildly all over the place. I mean, this guy could easily be a second or third rounder, and I think he probably will go in those couple rounds based on all the positive stuff I said. But there's no doubt that teams are like, that is just a no-go for us. I could see him falling fourth, fifth, and beyond because of the wild passing. But if he is able to sit behind a Matthew Stafford and learn, and maybe over a year or more, hopefully, be able to clean up that throwing motion, work that in, practice. I mean, this guy could be just as good as Cam Ward, I believe, in terms of just overall talent with throwing, and if he gets that cleaned up. I mean, to give it to you this way, Ramsdation, if his throwing was at least average, there's not even a debate he would be the second quarterback taking after Cam Ward. If his throwing accuracies was just average, I don't even think it would be a debate with what I've seen on film. But it's so wildly inconsistent that he's going to be a day 2, maybe even day 3 pick. But crap, I hope, in some universe that he was able to come and sit. And again, with all these guys, Rams Nation, we hope for themselves and even maybe for ourselves, for our team, it all works out if they were selected. Of course, we all know that's not going to be the case, but the tools are there.
Yeah, and how long has it been since the Rams have had a quarterback like this guy that present that threat to opposing defenses? So that would be fun to watch from finally a guy like that on our side, making defenders miss, and what a red zone issue he would be from the quarterback position. And I got a chuckle out of reading some notes on him. I had just watched this morning a little bit on Matthew Stafford on a podcast. I don't know who it was. And he was talking about how he came into the league. He'd kill wide receivers with his throws. He just throwing heat. And one of the comments here on Milroe is he fires hard to catch rockets at underneath targets, which is sounds just like Stafford coming out of college, right? So
Yeah.
he'd be a fun guy to watch grow under McVay for sure.
Oh, and you talk about the cheat code. I mean, this is the cheatiest of cheaty codes, because I make up that phrase. I mean, it's filthy. And then again, Rams Nation, if he could sit and learn behind Matthew, and as I'm looking through, 'cause I was like, what did my friend text me the other day? One of my good friends, he said, "Hey, what did Mike Mayock say on a local station recently?" He said he would love Jalen Milroe to be behind Matthew Stafford for a year or two and learn behind him, because he also thinks that if he can learn, get that arm talent accuracy under control, it would be, watch out for him. And I agree, man. And I just, he sent me that yesterday. I hadn't looked at his message, or I saw it. I didn't read what Mike Mayock had to say. So look, at former GM see it, right? I'm sure plenty of scouts are seeing the same thing. I mean, I'm seeing it with my own two eyes. So are you, Mark, Rams Nation. This is a guy I would be happy to take a chance on in the second or third round. Absolutely.
Yeah, and even as a rookie, I'm just dreaming here. Run him out there on 3rd and goal from the 3.
Give me that Tim Tebow jump pass, right? You fake the quarterback power and then a little, and it's again, Rams Nation. Could he not ever get it together with all that? Of course. If every quarterback did, then everyone would be great and making millions and millions of dollars for the next 10 years. That's not how this works. But this is a guy that has a tool set out of pretty much everyone, where you could say, if everything clicks, watch out, holy crap. And he is second or third round worthy, but I can see him slipping because of the passing issues for sure. Whew, what a roller coaster that was. But I have a soft spot for him, Mark, hoping that he ends up with us, sincerely.
Yeah, that
But
would
the next quarterback, go ahead.
I was just going to say that'd have to be one of those 3rd round picks. I could see it happening.
Yeah, for sure. But hey, you convince yourself for a second, I wouldn't be mad at it. I really wouldn't. So we shall see what happens. But there is Alabama quarterback Jalen, the super wild card player in this whole thing. And then the next quarterback, who may not be on your list, Rams Nation, may not be on other lists you have seen. I don't know why people are not talking more about the Oregon quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. I don't know why, Mark. I don't know why. Share us some fun facts before I get into the film stuff on him.
Well, something you're going to definitely have to talk about. He's 5'11", only 5'11", 205 pounds. And that's what's hurting his draft stock for sure. 3rd team Associated Press All-American, the Big Ten. It still seems weird, Oregon, Big Ten. Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, playing quarterback for Oregon. And let's see, what did he have? He had in the 2024 a 72.9% completion rate, not too shabby, 3,800 yards passing, 30 passing TDs, and trying to look for his rushing stats here. I don't see him, but he's named after Corey Dillon. A little tidbit there for you.
Oh, nice. So, okay. We'll start off with this. Yes, he's a smaller quarterback. Yes, he's an older quarterback. He's transferred a ton and all that. I get all that. And those are factors, right? But what all I'm going to say here is just based off what I've seen on the film, okay? Man, I don't know why he's not being talked about as one of the quarterbacks with the best arms in this whole draft class. His arm talent is very good. It's better than some of these other guys that people have him ranked above, right? The Louisville quarterback and other guys you can think of that we will not talk about in this episode. I don't understand why he's not put above those guys. And again, I know it's because he's small, while all this is getting shoved under the rug a little bit with him. I think his decision making is good. Again, mobility is good. He can escape. He can run. He can get those cheat code yardage. He can run around in the pocket for a little bit. He does have his pocket presence is average than a lot of these other quarterbacks ranked ahead of him that are projected to be higher picks than him. I do like a lot of his deep ball passing, Mark. I think it's pretty dang good, man. And you're like, wow, what a great throw that was. A lot of times more than not. which is why I don't understand why he is ranked later than a lot of other dudes. And I know it's the height, and I'm not going to say that's not a factor for the next level, but just purely off all the throwing, purely off all the decision making, which I think is good. The arm talent is very good. The accuracy is, I think, pretty, average to above average, right? But sometimes with some of the intermediate stuff, which is where his height comes into a negative light, is that I feel like when he's getting crumbled on, he can't see it. But if he was a couple inches taller, there's no way he wouldn't have rifled that in there based on other throws that I saw throughout his film. And again, that's where the height knocks him down, and that's just the reality of it. And then he comes from the spread system, but I've seen him go through progressions as well. Read 1, read 2, read 3, make the necessary throws in that, bail from it if he has to, run around to throw a check down. I mean, I don't understand. Again, someone with a very good arm, better than a lot of other these quarterbacks in this entire draft. Got the mobility, good decision maker, experienced, has some playmaking where you see him escape, roll around and throw a laser beam here, laser beam there. I just don't understand it. So I can totally see him if teams just look purely off the throwing. And if the Rams said, you know what, man, we really need a quarterback to mold into, I think he could be second or third round worthy, which is why I have a question mark here on the page. But because of his height and all that, I know teams are not going to take him there. It's just not the reality. He'll go 4th, 5th. He'll be a day 3 pick because of that. But purely based off all the throwing, I don't see why you could really say he's definitely not, a day 2 pick. Sincerely, I must be seeing something wrong, or I don't know what's going on, Mark. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, and I talked about Jalen Milroe being that threat in the red zone with his legs. They call that out for definitely for Dillon Gabriel. He's a guy that's going to be a third down threat in the red zone for sure with his legs. He had 189 total touchdowns in his FBS career, which is a record.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, again, drafted a lot, played a lot of football, but I mean, again, Rams Nation, Mark, I don't know how you can watch the film and watch him throw and say that, oh, these guys are so much better than all of them. They're really not. You could argue that Dillon Gabriel, no, I will say this, Dillon Gabriel as a passer consistently is way better than Kyle McCord. It's not even debatable. Way better than Jalen Milroe. You can even argue sometimes he looks better than Jackson Dart of the stuff I've seen on film. But because he is small, and sometimes that will block his view of throwing, that's what knocks him. And I understand that. Again, I totally understand that, and that is a factor. But if you're looking at everything else, I mean, how could you argue he wouldn't be a pretty good, round 3 pick for a team? Sincerely.
Yeah, and this guy is very good at throwing on the run too, on the rollout. So McVay, with him as your quarterback, he's going to find ways to get him, out behind those sequoia trees in front of him, rolling out left, right, and making throws on the run, and then he becomes a running threat as well. An entirely different offense. Well, I shouldn't say entirely, but a significantly different approach on offense with Dillon Gabriel back there. But man, he's the type of quarterback you hate seeing your team go against, right? You think you have him, and next thing you know, he's on the run. You're closing in on him. It completes a 12-yard pass, or he tucks it in, eludes 3 tacklers, and picks up 15 yards on the ground. Over and over and over again. I could see it with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, I'm not saying he's going to be the next, Russell Wilson or something. That's not what I'm saying. But for him, based off all the throwing, to not be considered a day 2 pick at all, very, very interesting to me. Purely based off the throwing, I think he'd be worthy for that. But question mark, I get the height. It is a disqualifier for a lot of different reasons, and I understand that. But going to football, he's better than all these other guys. It's not even debatable. Not even debatable, which is crazy. And look at Rams Nation. There's always teams lying and saying nonsense so guys fall. You can say that's happening to Shador. You can say that's happening to other players. You can say other guys are being fluffed up, maybe to get, tricked into trading up for their picks to get a quarterback, right? Oh, please. Jackson's so great. Please take our 20th something pick so we can trade back and get more picks. We're fine with that. There's all these mind games going on with all these guys. But no doubt about it, Rams Nation, starting from the top of this group, Cam Ward, round 1 worthy. Shedeur Sanders, round 1 worthy. Jackson Dart, round 2 or 3 worthy, in my opinion. Kyle McCord, round 2 or 3 worthy, in my opinion, but I can see him falling based on some of his issues. Jalen Milroe, round 2 or 3 worthy for a lot of reasons, but you also see him falling beyond there. And then Dylan Gabriel, sneakily should be considered round 2 or 3 worthy based off the throwing, but his height, I can easily see him being, rounds 4, 5, 6, and beyond for those reasons too. But man, oh man, Mark, crazy. This quarterback stuff gets crazy, but I will say though, one more time for you, Rams Nation, Jalen Milroe, let that man develop behind Matthew Stafford, and I think we can have a quarterback of the future right there with number 4 from Alabama. I really believe that.
So that's the guy you're leaning towards, obviously, huh?
Yeah. Out of all the guys who you would want to spend, a premium draft pick on with the most upside, it's him by far. By far. He just has to get his throwing mechanics in order, and I think everything else is good as it is, like I explained earlier. And that's literally it, and obviously that's the most important part, right? Your throwing being accurate, but that could be cleaned up. We've seen players clean that up. It's not impossible. And I think sitting behind a Hall of Fame future quarterback in Matthew Stafford, working with McVay, I think would do him wonders. But we're not the only ones who can see this, Rams Nation. Plenty of other teams, content creators, they're all seeing the same things we are here. So we'll see if things work out and that ends up being the case. But he's my dark horse. Spend a good draft pick, but not too high. And let's see what happens. He's definitely my guy out of this entire group. That's realistic, of course.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on these quarterbacks. I can watch tape, and there's going to be something to like for all of these guys. But
of course,
I'm just a big believer that if Sean McVay likes a quarterback, I don't care if it's first round Sanders, first round Milroe. If you like a quarterback, take a flyer on him. So we miss out on a rotational defensive tackle. We miss out on another piece to the puzzle in our secondary. We miss out on an edge rusher that may or may not pan out. The quarterback position is so important and so difficult to scout and to determine, predict who is going to succeed at the NFL level. Hey, if you're not 100%, we understand, but go ahead and take a flyer on a quarterback and don't overdraft too much. But if you like Dart in the first round, if Sean McVay loves Jackson Dart, kind of like what they did with Braden Fisk, you move up and you get the guy. Jackson Dart's there at 26 and you love him. I'm not saying Jackson Dart's the guy. If Milroe's the guy, whoever it is, get a quarterback in. And if it doesn't work out, we'll give you a pass. That's how I feel about the quarterback position. It's just so important.
Yeah, no, it's very important. And again, all these guys, all of their issues, other than I guess Dylan Gabriel's height, they all can be improved upon. There's no doubt about it. The accuracies, the arm strength, those things can be improved. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm not saying he's suddenly going to be throwing 80-yard bombs, but that can be improved. Footwork, all these things that we shared our issues on today, all can be improved. So whatever Sean McVay thinks, hey, I can mold that guy and to be my next quarterback, then so be it. Let's rock. We may have our disagreements on where they're selected, right? That'll dictate a lot. But if Sean McVay loves them, then we gotta say, let's ride. And we'll see if that ends up being the case this upcoming draft. I know, which is that'll be there's gonna be some nail biting moments in that first round, Rams Nation, if these quarterbacks are around at pick 26. There's a real chance they take somebody there. So we'll see. I've been
see. Yeah, and I've been playing around with some scenarios. Ram fans have been talking about trading back and then trading back up and what that might look like. And there's risks involved with that too. You trade back and then you end up missing out on the guy you really wanted. And you got to have the right partner to get where you want to trading back. And, I can run scenarios on the simulator, whether trading back with the Steelers or the Broncos or whoever. In reality, they may have no interest and giving up that spot. So, it takes two to tango. So it's all just kind of guesswork at this point.
Yes, it is. But, oh, baby, there's some guys that I really like in this class, and more than I thought I would, truthfully. Not perfect.
Yeah.
This is not some juggernaut. Oh, my God. Like last year, there's a lot of guys you're like, well, these two are going to be Pro Bowlers, probably, right? Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams has it in him. But, again, real quick, all these guys could easily fail too. Does Tennessee grow quarterbacks on trees and has a history of having good quarterbacks and cultivating them? No, they do not. Cam Ward could easily fail with the Tennessee Titans, not necessarily because of the talent, but because of the structure and the cultivating of his skill sets and as a quarterback, right? Shedeur Sanders easily could fail as a Giant or a Brown. Do you think he would fail as a Ram? Probably not. Same thing with all these guys. Depending on where they go to is going to dictate a ton of their millions of dollars of future earnings and then just their legacy and success as a player, whether it be short term because it didn't go well or long term because they became a well-known, well-established, productive player. I think all these guys, if they ended up as a Ram or any other quarterback we didn't talk about here today, their chances of those being on the positive go up significantly more than a lot of other teams around this league. So keep that in mind, though, Rams Nation. Keep that in mind with all these guys.
You're kind of echoing. I don't know who it was. There was a retired quarterback that recently said pretty much what you just said, that, these high drafted quarterbacks don't fail. The NFL teams fail them. And they don't put them in positions to succeed. They don't nurture them. They don't bring them along at the right pace. They don't get them the right coaching. And then, they flame out and everybody, is all over the player being a bust, failing, sucking, whatever, whatever adjective you want to use. Yeah. And in most cases, it's the team. It's the team that failed, not the player.
Yeah, that's correct. So we shall see which quarterback we may end up with in this upcoming 2025 draft, as we will have tons of more draft content coming your way, Rams Nation. We will have other position groups in this similar mode. Are they who is first round worthy? Who is second round worthy? And third, and so forth and so forth. We will have that for other position groups within the next couple of weeks, as well as we'll have other draft content coming out with other friends of the channel, with other team ups from other channels. We will have more mock drafts. We'll have tons of stuff to get you ready for the big 3 days, I should say, of drafting college players to the Los Angeles Rams. I'm excited. You should be too. But before we get out of here, Mark, any last things?
No, man, I just got to say, I love draft season. Sometimes I like it more than the actual season.
Yeah,
the NFL draft is so much fun. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, me either. But that'll do here, Rams Nation. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share this video and podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans. We very much appreciate it. But that'll do it here. We'll see you very soon. And go Rams, baby.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.